goal? Anybody? Lori, difference between a vision and a goal.
A vision would be a thought process.
Mm-hmm.
Goal is something you set to achieve.
Okay, anybody else have any input? Louis, difference between a vision and a goal?
Maybe a goal is pragmatic on maybe how you do it. The vision is maybe what you want to accomplish.
Right, that's a pretty good way to do it. So a vision, if somebody's categorized as a visionary, what's the first thing, Huey, comes into your mind?
So they see things.
They see things, right? They don't necessarily have defined concepts, but they've got a really unique ability to see things. And the reason I recommend the book is because I would categorize Steve Jobs as a visionary, right? Here's a guy that came up with an idea that he'll charge 5 times as much for a computer, that it'll look sexy, it'll cater to a certain demographic in society that won't be conscious about pricing, and that they'll always change the template. They'll look at what's bad in the PC business and make everything good about it. And at the end of the day, he was able to execute that task. Now, Steve Jobs was known as a real micromanager, right? So much so that what did they do to him?
Throw them out.
Of his own company. Right, a revolt, board of directors, out he goes, and the company went from $14 billion value down to $7 billion because they lost their visionary. Goals, on the other hand, are things we implement or put in place in order to achieve, right? So this is kind of like a verb, right, a goal. The problem with goals is we're so used to not blanking them, they become almost, whatever, what's the blank go in? We're so used to not achieving our goals that goal setting, unless they're managed on a day-to-day basis, it almost becomes unaccomplishable. How many people on January the 1st made the goal that I'm going to get into better shape this year? Right? The entire I'm going to think a large portion of the population said I'm going to make some commitment to health. And you know what they say the national average is? You know this. So the person that wakes up January the 1st, says I'm going to commit to getting better shape. How long do they last on average attaining that goal?
A week?
16 days. So the average person will spend 16 days committed to their goal of being in better shape or better health or better lifestyle. Now, that's somebody who's goal-driven. The definition of a visionary is somebody who says, by being in better shape, my life will result in this. And they can actually visualize how their life will change by making a substantial goal or commitment to achievement. See the difference? So when we talk about in our training sessions about, we have to be goal-oriented, or the straight line theory of selling is a goal-oriented method of selling, right? It's not random. Most sales processes are very random, right? We do different things, different times. So 2 things happen. 1, we don't really know what works. That's 1. And then 2, when something doesn't work, we normally blame it on the customer rather than on the process, but because we don't have a real solid practical approach to selling, we've got nothing to relate it to. And my close is on that with this book. It's a wonderful thing, and I'll reference it a couple of times today. So just in recap, we've committed to do 3 things in 2015 as a store. And this is just a quick recap. We've committed to do 3 things. We've committed to do whatever it takes to be the best we can be, right? Is that right? We've committed to do the best that we can do to be the best that we can possibly be. 2, we said we're going to work harder than we ever have before in order to accomplish this. Correct? And number 3, we said that we're going to capitalize on a window of opportunity in order for all this to come together. Is that all repetitiveness so far? Right? That's what we said as a group December 29th when we stood in here and said, what are we going to do different in 2015 to ensure we get or see success at Lally Kia or in the automotive industry in Southwestern Ontario. And the 3 things that we defined as to be very important were those 3 things right there, which said we're going to be the best that we can possibly be. We're going to, 2, work as hard as we possibly can, because without that we have no foundation And 3, we're going to recognize an opportunity that's been untapped. Now, we've identified a couple of opportunities, but the one opportunity that we really started to hone in on was a unique, sorry my spelling, unique method of training. And this training was going to be to apply a system of control that we could monitor every single step of the way. We call it the straight line theory of selling, right? Starts up with an introduction, finish with somebody pressing hard, I need 3 copies, and along the way, we're going to monitor the sale. With our ultimate goal being to keep the customer between these 2 lines. So welcome to Lally Kia, my name's Todd, and you are finished with, how would you like the car registered in your name, your wife's name, or both? And while we're operating through this sale, when the customer gets out here, by asking questions and breaking down the customer's internal buying beliefs, we're going to take the customer from being outside of the line or out of control and bring them back in so that we can continue down the proverbial path until we get to the end. We refer to this as a goal system of selling. So we know that through tonality, body language, through building massive rapport, gathering vast amounts of intelligence, we can take somebody from here to here. But in recap, we also talked about those internal buying beliefs that customers have, right? I said it comes right after the book of Job's. I can't buy a car the same day I came in. Remember we talked about that? I can't do it. We talked about in the service department. I don't bring my car to the franchise store because it's more expensive. And as professionals in our industry, we know that 1, if we build an airtight case for somebody when it comes to the retail transaction of an automobile, new or used, car, truck, SUV, or minivan, or we prove to them that regular maintenance at their car at our store, 1, doesn't cost any more than anywhere else, and 2, if price is your ultimate decision-making factor, we know that getting it done at a franchise store with certified technicians, with the proper equipment, and with personnel that care, that money will be negligible throughout your ownership period because you'll get better gas mileage, your car will perform better, you'll have better peace of mind, and at the end of the day, you'll have a relationship with the store that you can what? Trust. And we know that once we get an element of trust with our customer base, we have a customer for life. Would we agree? Once customers trust us, what also starts to come in rapid fashion? What do they give us at that point? Referrals. Massive amounts of referrals. John Hewitt and I and Randy sold a car to a guy in Windsor. The guy is Slovakian. Couldn't get financed at the Windsor store, called me here at the store. I didn't know whether we could or we couldn't. All I knew is this, is that Dusan, I can promise you this, that our financial services manager will exercise every option she has in order to give you the opportunity to drive the car you want. He said, can she get me financed? I said, I can only guarantee you this, that her level of enthusiasm will not be one of the factors that determine whether or not you get financed. And she got him financed in half a day. And has already recommended 1 person to buy a car, all within a 3-week period. So trust is the big part we need to get to. Now, we can't say to a customer, trust me, trust me, trust me, please, please trust me, this is a great idea. I've got a rock solid case, this can't go anywhere. You've got to buy today, really, really, really. So the magic, the $1 million question is, how do we do that? How do we build massive rapport? How do we gather intelligence in a way that when the customer starts to play that magic video in their brain once they meet you, it all starts to make sense to them, and it automatically comes when we start to say or do what we say, and by our tone and body language and by our preparation, to move down the line now becomes very simple. All right? So we also talked about a couple of other things.